Welcome to Niveus Private Academy, where money pays the hallways and the students are never less than perfect. Until now, because anonymous texter Aces is bringing two students' dark secrets to light. Talented musician Devon buries himself in rehearsals, but he can't escape the spotlight when his private photos go public. Head girl Chiamaka isn't afraid to get what she wants, but soon everyone will know the price she has paid for power. Someone's out to get them, someone who holds all the aces, and they're planning much more than a high school game. All right, welcome back to the podcast, everybody. I'm your host, Jan.
And I'm your co-host, Joy.
And this week we read Ace of Spades. So that was my best Gossip Girl voice. What did you think?
They're like, Ace of Spades.
No, you have to say XOXO Aces. And before you laugh too hard, have you ever seen Gossip Girl?
I've seen bits and pieces of
Poser. No, I'm just kidding. Kidding. All right.
That's super funny. I think we should just say it right now that when you read the synopsis, she said she was a fan of Gossip Girl too. So that's why we picked that up pretty quickly in this book.
It's more like, even if she had not said that, literally the inflection, because I listened to the book, the inflection that the narrator spoke in is a complete copy of Gossip Girl. Mm-hmm. I don't even think they said XO in the book, but that's exactly what she would say. It's XOXO Gossip Girl.
You could hear it though. So is that the author's fault or is that
some of the phrases she said too was like direct Gossip Girl. That's how she would announce secrets. So it's both. It's both for sure. But the book starts off with a quote from Gossip Girl and Get Out. So I don't think it was a secret. She didn't try to hide it.
What's the quote from Get Out? I can't remember. But that makes sense.
Oh, I can't remember, but that's definitely something we need to figure out. Hold on one second.
Absolutely.
Well, actually, while I look that up, how about you start us off by giving us your rating?
Okay, my rating for this book, I think, would be a 3.5. 3.5 stars.
Okay, so without spoilers, tell us why you would give it a 3.5.
So without spoilers, I like the book. I like how the characters are developed well. What I didn't like about it, what made it just a little bit above average for me, 3.5, was just I don't know, it's sometimes you get a feeling for a book and you're like, man, I can't wait to turn the next page and see what happens next. It was one of those things where it's you can see the ending from a long ways away, and I'm just just get to it. If I'm asking for a book to end at some point, then I don't think that's gonna be anything above a 4. So it was a good book. I just feel it was long-winded. And that's what I think it was. So what about you?
I would So I was thinking about giving it a 3.5 stars too, but I think I'm gonna give it a 4. And I don't know, this might be one of the books, after discussion, I might waver back, but we'll see. And I feel I want to give it a 4 because, again, I was able to predict the ending, but I'm just very impressed with her as a writer. And just so that it's Faridah Àbíké-Íyímídé. I think I got that. Yeah. I think last time I said that I'm going to get it right before the podcast, and I'm pretty sure that's right. So, definitely super happy that I was able to do that.
I'm here for it. Something that I have to do for my favorite books is to buy the hard copy. So I listen to it, and then I buy the hard copy if I actually enjoyed it. It's 4 or 5 stars for me, and I know I'm going to reread it later or want to share it. So I'm here's the book, read it. Do you think that this is a valuable book for you?
I don't think I would reread it. I feel okay, so I'm biased with that because I buy books when I feel I'm going to reread it. And I normally only reread fantasy books because that's my thing is fantasy books. Yeah. So I don't think I would, but I will say that for a book, this cover art was pretty cool. The Aces card and, their head.
Yeah.
Actually, let me see if I can. I don't
I
have
really
the
like
physical
that too.
book, but I do have a picture of the book cover. So this was the
was
book
cool.
cover. I thought it was pretty amazing. And I think
I
the
love
back of
how
the book
brown they
cover is
are.
actually the same thing, but they're flipped. So Devon
Mhm.
is on the top and Chiamaka's on the bottom, which pretty cool. We were looking for the quotes from
Yes.
Get Out, and it's all I know is sometimes if there's too many white folks, I get nervous. And that's not a spoiler because it's right at the beginning of the book. And they also have a quote from Gossip Girl where it says, "They say life is full of surprises, that our dreams really can come true. Then again, so can our nightmares."
Give me the shivers.
Again, Gossip Girl voice, my best efforts. But yeah, I would say I'm going to give it a 4 stars from now, and then that may change. I don't know. Like, I've been thinking about it and going back and forth for quite a while now.
With that first quote from Get Out, do you think that was their thoughts at the end of the book or the beginning of the book?
Definitely at the end, but I'm not. That's spoilers. That's spoilers. So
Okay.
let me go ahead and do our spoiler alert real quick. And for anyone who's going to jump off because they want to read the book first, I will say that if you want a copy of this book, we are doing a contest still to get your own copy. All you have to do is give us a 5-star review. Give us a review and give us a suggestion of a book that you think we should read, and we're going to pick a winner and send you a copy if you win. All right, so with that, spoilers from here on out, and I'm going to pass it over to you first, Joy, to give us a quick summary. So this is something that we want to try just for the weirdos who like to stay on even though they haven't read it and they like spoilers. Joy. Joy, do you want to give
spoilers.
us a quick summary of beginning to end? I'm going to no more than 2 minutes.
Okay. Put the timer on now.
Okay.
So basically you have Chiamaka. I want to do their last names too. Chiamaka Adebayo. Yeah. And
don't be a Jamie.
Don't do that.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So you have these two black kids, specifically Chiamaka is Nigerian, half Nigerian and Italian.
And half Italian, yeah.
And they go to a school called Niveus Private Academy. It's a private school. It's mostly white kids, but it's a really good school. And it's expensive to go to as well. Devon's from the hood. Chiamaka isn't. She is actually more well off because I think both her parents are doctors, right?
I don't remember what their parents do, but I know she's rich.
Yeah. So they're coming from two different worlds, but they're teaming up in this school space. When weird things start to happen, their secrets start to get broadcasted across the school, and obviously issues ensue from there, to the point where their college prospects are going to be affected by it. So they come together, try to figure out what's going on, and in the end, it's everyone against them at this point. And they figure it out, and that's pretty much it. I don't want to get too detailed. Yeah.
Why not? They already said they wanted spoilers. Let's go. Like, as far as the twist, what's the twist?
The twist is all of the whites in the school and outside of the school, the headmaster, the news, people that they go to for help, the students, like all their friends, they're in on this. They actually went to a camp the summer before to figure out how they're going to ruin these kids' lives like they do to, the thing was, it's called Ace of Spades because it's caught on the whole, what do you call this? The whole system is called Ace of Spades. And they choose two black kids to get accepted into this very private academy and let them like do their thing for 4 years. And their senior year, they ruin their life pretty much. I don't get it.
So there was like some subtleties there. Like, I feel like it wasn't the whole school, but it was like all the well-off. I mean, I feel like the whole school is well-off, but like all the legacy kids went to the camp, and then like from there. Sorry.
That's what I was confused about, because I know it was the legacy kids that were like the leaders of it, but at the end, all the students in the ballroom put on those masks.
Yeah.
For the teachers.
You're right. So maybe everyone did go to the camp. I know that they said, like, in the camp, they were working on them for 4 years. It wasn't just the summer before. But everybody would go to this camp and they would try to convince them that they were superior and that these, like, the Black students deserved this and that they were taking opportunities from them because of affirmative action. And bullshit ensues. Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Speaking of bullshit, Jen, that was my favorite character. The
bullshit?
The cat. Oh. Yeah,
I forgot about. Okay, please explain to me why this is your favorite character.
Because I couldn't like anyone else. Like, I thought about it back for Sideways. I didn't really like anyone else other than Devon's mom. And she's barely in it. She's just like trying to pay bills and everything. But like everyone else,
I am very curious about that like opinion.
Everyone annoyed the hell out of me.
Okay.
Like I feel like Devon, like he was like such a relationship jumper, and like a lot of the issues, it was just like,
oh my God, okay. I use those exact same words to describe him. Like he said he was in a relationship with Scotty and was getting abused and cheated on and was like perfectly fine with it until he kissed Dre. And then all of a sudden he's like, oh, I don't want to be in a relationship with Scotty. Immediately jumped to that relationship. And then literally the same day that you get jumped out of this thing with Dre, you start talking to Terrell, got his number, and he was like, oh, just because I'm low on friends. And then the next time you hang out with him, you guys are making out. Like, can you take a second? Let's process.
I was honestly surprised too, because when you're that age, high school, 17, 18, 16, a lot of people say, I don't know if it's because like times have changed. And I know this starts to sound bad when I say times have changed, but I'm not going anywhere like horrible or homophobic or anything like that. I'm just saying a lot of people will say like when they grew up, like our age.
I was not assuming anything like that.
Oh, okay. But they say that their social sphere was so small because they didn't know another gay kid in their school or in their neighborhood or anything like that. But it seemed like he was like easily, oh yeah, you're gay too? Cool. Let's get together. Like you're gay and also feeling me.
Here's the thing. I don't feel like he like ran into a lot of people who were out. It's just that he accepted abuse until he thought he found something better. And then that's the only reason he would find to leave a toxic relationship. Like he didn't have any kind of self-worth is what it seemed like to me.
Oh, that's very true.
Like, just he stayed with Scotty because he didn't want to be alone.
That's true. That's very true. I was surprised. I was like, why can't you just be single? Especially when he had to go through, like, those guys at Andre's. Is his name Andre?
Yeah, Dre.
At Dre's apartment to just go see him. I'm like, what is this? Like, I would never.
And I didn't get that at first. And then they started talking about how, like, they've been friends forever, like, after Dre went to jail. And I was like, okay, I feel like that could have been explained a little bit sooner.
But those guys giving him shit all the time, don't you think? I guess this goes into a toxic / abusive relationship, too. Which is, like, Dre, tell them that we're friends, at least. So I don't have to, like, deal with this BS coming to your house all the time. Jeez. Yeah. But yeah, no, Chiamaka annoyed me because she was just like so blindly trusting of everyone. And it reminded me of me at that age too. So I think that's probably why she annoyed me.
Who was she blindly trusting of? I feel like she had her defenses up for a lot of people.
I mean, she did, but she first had that group of girlfriends, and then she was friends with Jamie for the longest time. And
I feel like the only person she trusted blindly was Jamie. Like, the first time they introduced her and her girlfriend, she talked about how they weren't really friends and how she didn't trust them.
Yeah, but then she trusted Belle after they had a little spat over Jamie. And then she trusted the headmaster.
Trusted her how much, though? I feel like she trusted, like, she didn't share anything with Belle. She didn't trust her that much. She just was in a relationship with Belle. And even the headmaster, I feel like it wasn't necessarily a trust, rather than, okay, I'm not going to sit down and take this abuse. I'm going to tell someone, which I don't understand why they didn't go to social media in the first place, like when they first found out instead of going to a reporter. But yeah, I think like you can go to someone and tell them to do their job without having some trust there. I do feel like she was in the denial about why she shouldn't trust them, but I don't think she blindly trusted too many people.
Even with Devon, he said that too. He was like, why are you trust the headmaster to find this out? I'm like, that's right, Devon. You asked a good question.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So to be fair, maybe it was like a thing about authority. Like, she didn't trust other students, but for some reason with authoritative figures, she was like, oh no, they got it, which was weird.
Maybe because she was like one of those like students who's like, oh yeah, my grades and everything. So obviously it's just a little brown nosy, which goes with authority too. I don't know. Yeah. Who was your favorite character?
You talked about.
We never said yours.
Chiamaka. I felt that way because like she made so many good points. There was one point where Jamie said that she was like, she felt entitled to be the head prefect. And like, even though she trusted Jamie, she like immediately shut him down. Like, she was thinking in the back of her head, I know he didn't mean it that way, but I'm still going to make a point. Just so you know, I'm head prefect because I deserve it. And I did this and this. I'm on top. And I feel like when guys know that they deserve something, they're like seen as a leader. Whereas when girls know they deserve something, they're seen as bossy or entitled. And that's not the case. I'm head prefect because I'm the best in our class, period. So she had a lot of moments like that. And I feel like it goes back to being a fan of Gossip Girl when I was watching it. And she's obviously the Blair Waldorf character. And she was my favorite character back then too. Like, just women who like, or girls, I guess, and she's in high school, that know their worth and will stand up for themselves. Definitely hold a special place in my heart. I think they actually referred to her as Blair. Jamie did when they were talking about that teddy bear. She said she needs to be more Blair and less Meg Griffin. I was like, that's when I knew I didn't trust Jamie. Like, I didn't like him at first, but after he did that in front of Belle, I was like, yeah, I don't trust you. She obviously tried to change the subject and he just kept going. Nah, that's not my best friend. No, absolutely not, girl. Call you out like that.
That whole thing too with Jamie and her running over a girl, that's crazy.
Yeah, that is crazy.
I don't know. If you put yourself back into like teenage body and then running over another teenage, that's crazy. I don't think I'd be able to live myself with that. I can't like just forget about it. That's crazy to me. All right, who's your least favorite?
Who is your least favorite? Because your favorite character was a cat. Okay.
I feel like out of all the people, okay, and if I didn't like, it was a toss up between Jamie, Scotty, and Jack.
I didn't mind Scotty. I feel like he was just dumb. I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't like Scotty because he was obviously in on a lot of this. But it wasn't like a true like distaste for him like some of the other characters like Jamie and the headmaster. And you just said his name. What was Don's friend's name? Jack was my least favorite character.
It was just like, for me, it seemed like, just because he dated Scotty too, Devon did. It was for me like that trust and breaking that trust with the people that you said that you like, you roll with, you rock with, this is your best friend, this is your boyfriend. You know what I mean? And then breaking that trust to be part of a bigger group that's hateful as well. You know what I mean? It's just like, I didn't like all three of them, but I think Jamie was definitely the worst, on top of choking out Chiamaka. So,
oh yeah.
Yeah, I think Jamie was definitely the worst.
I feel like everyone, I don't disagree with anything you're saying. I feel like what hurt me more with, what is his name? How did I forget it again? Jack. What hurt me more with Jack is, okay, so I'm just thinking about the motivation behind everyone. Jamie obviously had like a daddy issues where he wanted to impress his dad, and that had a lot of influence over him. Not making excuses for him, but I can understand where that thought process came from, where he felt like he was doing the right thing. But with Jack, but with Jack, I feel like he grew up with Devon. Like, his mom's like paid for study classes for him. He saw how hard, in his application, he saw how hard Devon was working. They were working side by side. And he said that too. God, we worked so hard together to do this. Like, why would you like throw all this away. So he knew how hard he was working. And then he still justified it to himself by, oh, you only got in because of affirmative action. He betrayed all of that just to put himself ahead. That made me upset.
Yeah.
And he also seemed homophobic.
Yeah, that's what I thought his issue was too.
Yeah, on top of that too, like the fact that Devon was like trying to comfort him when Aces sent out the fake blast about him doing drugs. What can I do to help? I know you would never do this. I know, like, you and your mom, like, you promising her in her deathbed or her grave or whatever that you'd never do this. And all he could say is, do you? Like, are you kidding me? You're ruining this guy's life. And here he is being sympathetic to you. And it, like, doesn't move you at all. That seemed crazy to me. He was definitely my least favorite. Like, he just seemed, like, delusional. Like, intentionally deluding himself to better his own self.
I wonder what it had to be. Something like, I don't know what it was. Like, they had to threaten him. I don't know. It's just like one of those things where it's just, what did they tell him at that camp to make them betray these people that they grew up with?
I don't think it was threatening. I think it was brainwashing. Like,
there's
I honestly
no war
feel
in
like the
Boston,
way
say.
you go. There's no war in Bossing, say, yeah. No, but I feel like living in, like, this society is very hard to not be, like, racist, period. Even if it's just microaggressions, it's very hard to not, like, think that way. And I say that for white people and Black people, because a lot of self-hate from, like, Black people come from just the way that society views us and our culture. But if you have someone constantly whispering in your ear that you're, like, better than this person or this group of people because of this and that, and affirmative action and, like, misinterpreting or misrepresenting what that is, like, it is brainwashing. But I feel like if you have a connection with these people, you would not be where you are without them. And you know how hard they worked. It's not that hard to say, oh, yeah, that's bullshit. Brain. Like, you were intentionally being... not delusional exactly, but what is the word I'm looking for?
Girl? I don't know.
Maybe it is delusional.
I don't know. But the same thing I'm feeling that you're feeling for Jack is what I felt for Jamie as well, because he knew her, Chiamaka, longer. And he ran over somebody. So, I don't know. And he just seemed way more, like, cold and calculated. And at least with Jack, it was just like he seemed like... At some points, Jack put him to the side. Like, what are you doing? Like, just go. I feel like Jack tried to... Even when he let Devon beat him up at his house, he was somewhat apologetic. And I think at that point, he realized, like, he put himself above his friend over race, pretty much. And he felt bad about it. Jamie, he didn't feel bad about it. He tried to kill Chiamaka. Like, everything he did was calculated, not just because, like, he wanted to get ahead, but also because he hated her for being Black, pretty much. And that's why I think the difference is. I think Jack tried to put him trying to get ahead. Yeah, and Jamie was just hateful.
And it could also be a little bit of the fact that I saw Devon hurting the whole time with how he was being treated by Jack, and then to figure out that he also betrayed him in that way, I was like, okay, that's the final straw. Whereas the whole book, I was like, in my head thinking, Chiamaka, why are you trusting him? I never trusted Jamie. Like, I didn't feel betrayed the way I felt betrayed with Jack. Like, I was like, yeah, he's a piece of shit. He's always going to be a piece of shit. Yeah. But this gives too much credit.
That whole hitting someone with the car happened pretty early. So I'm like, why are you still friends with him?
Yeah.
After shit like that. That's crazy.
She said that's when she started, when she went to college, and she finished it by the time she graduated, so about 4 years. So impressed. Like, I feel like I was not doing that at 18. Period. Like, I think, and this is her debut book, so good, like, for a debut book. But there were things that I was like, I don't understand why this is here.
Like what?
Like the whole thing. Huh?
So like what?
Yeah, like the whole thing in the candy store where...
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry, I just looked over and happened to see that Hella's about to pounce on Loki, and it was... My cats are definitely fighting right now. I'm sorry, in the candy store, when he framed her for stealing the candy, they randomly said that he had diabetes, which I was sensitive to. I immediately perked up because I have type 1 diabetes, and I was like, oh, which type is it? What do you mean? And she was like, oh, I feel so bad because he just got his diagnosis. I didn't mean to say that. And I was like, yeah, you should feel bad saying that candy's going to, that's false information. Like candy and sugar does not cause diabetes. Doesn't matter the type. And then they just never mentioned it again. I was like, what was the point of that?
Yeah.
I was a little confused. And I feel like there were little things like that in the book where it seemed like she wrote it over 4 years and maybe there were some things that she probably would have came back to, but forgot she put it in herself. Maybe not. Maybe I'm just reading into it, but I would have liked to hear more about that story because I don't see a lot of representation for
Speaking
people
of
with
the candy store, I was like, immediately, it was him that put it in your coat, girl. Like, why are you so confused? No one was up on you except for him.
That's what I was thinking. When she said she looked back in the store, she saw a bunch of people moving around. I was like, maybe the store was crowded. But originally when they left, I was like, oh, it's Jamie. And then she said it was crowded. And I was like, oh, I guess it could have been anyone. Like they passed someone. Like pickpockets are good. They can plant something just as easily as they can take something out.
But do you think that someone, this is nothing that bothers me about Chiamaka. I'm just like, girl, like critically think. Do you think some stranger, whoever, would just put something in your pocket to get you in trouble and not this guy that you're talking to? You know what I mean? When he ran somebody over?
If I'm with you, though. If I'm with you, because the running over makes sense because he was afraid for his future. But if you and me were in the store and something ended up in your pocket, would you blame me? Like you would just think it was random. Like what happened? Like you blame other people in the store. You wouldn't blame someone you trusted. You wouldn't suspect someone that you trusted. And she trusted him fully at that point. So what would have been his motivation without her knowing that he hated her?
Yeah, you're right. I guess that's true. And I've had that happen. Not that specifically, but I've put things like down, like in the car or like on my purse, and it's gone into my purse. I'm like, oh shit, I guess I got stuff in here. You know what I mean? Without really thinking like smaller things, like a nail polish or like a lip gloss or something when I'm trying to buy.
I'm always very conscious about stuff I have in my hands at stores, so can't relate, but
even too, I set my phone down on a shelf once because I didn't have a purse or pockets.
I've done that.
And I mean, I've done that
because I'm like very absent-minded, but still, when I have a product in the store in my hand, I'm like immediately let me get a basket, or I'm like walk like this almost. Everyone can see like nowhere near my person.
Now I'm like that for sure, but when I was a teenager, that definitely happened a couple of times. Yeah, even with the reusable bags. Me and Earl, we have them in our hands, making sure we show back on camera like we came in with the bags.
Yeah. So there was that scene. There were a lot of twists and turns that I feel like some I predicted very easily and some I did not predict. What about you? Did you predict any parts of the plot before the twist came?
I knew Devon was going to get beat up at some point. I feel like I thought it was gonna be Scotty, but turned out to be Dre's like homeboys or whatever. But it seems to be very stereotypical in like our media, in almost everything, that the person that's LGBTQ plus, if they're part of that community, they're going to get abused in some way with whatever you're watching. So I knew that was going to happen. I was just glad that it wasn't like gratuitous. I was just waiting for it to happen, honestly. You know what I mean? Like, it's just something over time.
She did really well in her writing to like things that were very traumatic. She didn't go into a lot of detail with, which I appreciated. As far, I do feel like it's known, like Black people getting killed in horror movies, that like some violence is going to happen to an LGBT person, especially if it's a man, unfortunately. But yeah, I'm glad, to your point, she didn't like really go into it. The same with the implied rape of Chiamaka. I'm very like, I am still on the fence. Like it was almost too implied, but also I'm very glad that she didn't go into detail like a lot of like books and movies and media do. But yeah, that's interesting. That's what you predicted. Did you predict the big twist of it being the whole school?
I predicted that it was part of the school. I didn't think it was everybody. I knew the headmaster was part of it. It was just something about him that just didn't rub me. I didn't think that it was... Okay, I was 50-50 about the news lady that they asked to help them. Because I know Devon said that it could be bigger than just their schools, other schools and communities and stuff. So I was like, maybe she's part of it too, because she's very much, oh, let's do this. Let's get into it. I don't understand why they went that route either. Like you said, social media. And I'm glad that Devon put that Twitter out, because that's pretty much what saved them.
The tweet.
What did I say?
The Twitter. I'm so glad he made Twitter, man.
But no, yeah. So I don't know, some of the decisions, some of the choices, like, it was frustrating sometimes, I think, for sure.
I feel like I knew that it was racism. That I predicted 1,000 miles away. I was so like annoyed that it took both of them so long to say. Even Terrell was saying like, "You're the only 2 black students."
And he was a little bit a part of it too. He was like, "Come on, man! I'm giving you like slices of bread, not even breadcrumbs. Here's the loaf."
Yeah. I feel like even Devon was like delusional to a point. Like he was like, "No, I've gone to school with them. They're fine." And he was like, "Tell me one person." Whereas even when Devon was like, "Okay, but don't trust them though," Chiamaka was like, "You're crazy."
Oh, that just reminded me though, because he was so fond of that music teacher. That broke my heart. I was like, dang, man, like that.
I agree.
He should have been my least favorite character, honestly.
Seriously.
Like,
the only reason he wasn't my least favorite character is because he wasn't in the book enough. But
yeah.
Sheesh. But going back to what you said, I predicted it was racism. I did not think it was going to be the whole school. I didn't think that the headmaster was a part of it. I thought he was just uncaring because they were black. I thought he was racist. I just didn't think he cared enough to play along with this ACEs thing.
That's the thing I thought was kids. I didn't think it was the adults, which makes it even scarier. I feel like.
Yeah.
So, yeah, what started the fire?
That's a good question, but very random. So let me go back to what we were talking about.
Okay, sorry. I didn't know what did like a random fire out of nowhere. Okay, sorry.
Okay. As far as Belle, I feel like I thought that I'm sorry. With Belle, I feel like I thought that she was the girl. I didn't suspect that it was her sister, but I just figured she got some kind of plastic surgery to fool them. And I'm not even joking. I'm not even joking. And then I did think that for a while. Okay, so first I thought that Jamie told his dad, and his dad like set Chiamaka up, and that's why he wasn't worried about it, because she said the first time he mentioned it, he was really scared, and then the second time he wasn't. So I was like, okay, in between those times he went to his dad, and his dad fixed it so that if it ever came out, she would be blamed. That's what I thought. And then when she kept talking about like the blonde curls, and the only thing they described Belle with was blonde hair, and then there was a point where she went to her house and she didn't want her to see the picture. And I was like, oh, girl, you got some kind of plastic surgery. Like, you're afraid that she's going to recognize you from that older picture. That's what I figured. And I was like, it's very weird that Jamie's dating you. Like, he's in on this, too. But I thought it was just he was in on it because he was in love with Belle. So.
No, you're right. I didn't think it was Belle. I thought she had some relation to that girl. And
okay, so you predicted that it was a relation. I didn't. I thought it was her.
And then, okay, here's where I got confused too, because I was also packing, so I'm trying to do better doing different things and listening to the audiobook. But when they found that person on the computer at night, Chiamaka and Devon, when they found them with the cloak and they had blonde hair, I thought that was Belle at first, and then then Chiamaka went to Belle like in the next like scene or something. I'm like, wait a minute, what did I miss here? Yeah, so at first I thought that they revealed that it was Belle at that point, but I had my suspicions when she started dating Jamie, and then she confronted Chiamaka about the crush or whatever. And I was like, she's being real hostile. That's when I thought about it.
It seemed like Jamie lied about that whole thing, though. Like, he made it seem like he told her, like, no, I'm dating Belle. And she was like, I don't care. Like, I'd be pissed, too, at that point. He didn't say that he had been dating Belle all summer and still sleeping with Chiamaka and didn't tell her. So that was messed up. For sure.
That's another thing too. I'm just like, I think we're past the point when girls get mad at each other about their boyfriends cheating. So I'm like, I didn't know, girl, get your man.
The story side of the story she had was like, Jamie saying, yeah, she knew and she kept pursuing me. And then when she confronted Chiamaka, her original story was, no, it never happened. And then she was like, really? Because Jamie told me it did, you liar. Like, she already proved herself to be a liar, so why would she have believed her?
True.
But I think it was cool that she came back. Like, obviously, hindsight, she came back for other reasons. But I thought at the time, that's cool that she came back and said, okay, I overreacted. Let me hear your side.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. And since we're talking about Belle and Chiamaka's relationship with her, let's talk about like the differences between the two characters and their queer like experiences. Because it seemed like for sure Devon had it a lot worse than Chiamaka, even though she didn't really come out to everyone during this whole thing until Aces outed her. Or I guess Aces didn't out her, but Jamie found out because of pictures because he was a part of Aces. What do you think about like the differences that they went through?
I feel like that could also be like a discussion about class too. So obviously it's a discussion about race going into this book because the race. But I think when it comes to especially people of color, when you come from money, I feel like you might have more of an opportunity to be yourself and to be like creative and be yourself. When it comes to growing up poorer or being in the hood or anything, a lot of people are a lot more close-minded because they don't have the opportunity to grow as much. So I feel like not only was it harder for Devon because he didn't have the money, because he grew up in the like worst neighborhood than Chiamaka, people are automatically going to look at him. And he was a guy being gay instead of a girl being a lesbian. And that's looked at differently too. So
Definitely.
It's just, I feel like that's a really good discussion to have as well, other than just being like, they're both like part of the community and they're different and they'll have different experiences too. Especially because Devon was pretty much out too. At least at the school, I think. So
I don't think he was out of the school.
mom.
He said that he didn't mind if he was out of the school because they had a different viewpoint, but it was dangerous for him in his neighborhood. And I do agree with you that it's like a class kind of thing. And it's also just, I feel like in the Black community, like there are a lot of people who are hostile towards gay men in particular. And there's a lot of reasons for that. Like you said, like the whole, when you're in the hood, like there's less opportunity to expand your mind and view different things and grow as a person. But also I feel like there's a lot of religion in the Black community.
I was thinking
like,
that too.
Frown upon it and promote this like homophobia. What am I saying? Homophobia.
Yeah.
Yeah, it like runs rampant in the community. Yeah.
It's sad, but it's a fact. You know what I mean? It's just,
it's not even like just a male thing, because I feel like Scotty was like nervous to come out because of his friends judging him, but he wasn't worried about his safety. So, yeah.
He was more worried about, I think, wasn't he was like my prospects for like school, not school, but like his job or something like that he wanted to do. It was something odd that he was worried about, but it wasn't about getting beat up or anything like that.
Yeah, I think it was just joining the football team, which he eventually did. I could be wrong, but I wasn't really paying much attention to Scotty. He just seemed like that like himbo character that wasn't bright and nobody really paid much attention to. So
I was surprised he was in the drama club. I was like, he's an idiot. I don't get it.
And like, speaking of that, you can't say it's completely class because Jamie's dumb self like said, what? He's gay, but I thought he was on the football team. I guess he's also in theater. That doesn't say anything. That says nothing about your sexuality, you weirdo.
But you also see the difference. He didn't meet him with violence either. He was just like, huh, that's a stereotype. I should have seen it before.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting how she wrote this too, especially being 18. It's so many different things that you can go into with this book and just not pick apart, but look deeper into it. And yeah, there's a message there too. So I do like that. Even though I didn't care for Chiamaka and Belle getting together, I feel like it was a little bit out of nowhere. You know, when people say, I'm just going to give up on guys and start dating girls, I feel like that's what Chiamaka did. And Belle was like,
I didn't feel that way exactly. I felt like she's in high school. Like, she's had a crush on this guy forever. Like, he betrayed her and like she started having feelings for someone else. I don't think it was super forced.
Maybe it
And I
was
feel like here's the thing, like full disclosure, it's been a minute since I've read this book before we recorded, so I reread it. I've listened to it twice, and going back, there were a lot of things that were happening that I didn't notice at first, like when they were in the theater, and she kept saying every time she looked at Belle, like she'd get a funny feeling in her stomach, and I thought it was jealousy, but reading it back, it seemed like she always had feelings for her or was attracted to her, and I just didn't read it as attraction. So yeah, I don't think it was out of nowhere. Maybe because of that. Maybe because I went back and read it again.
maybe that's on us too. There can't be more than one like LGBT person in the book. You know?
I don't know why you said us, but yes.
Look, I'm just saying we didn't read it like she was having these feelings towards Belle, other than just jealousy for being with Jamie.
I feel like it was meant to be like a surprise where she leaves clues and, oh, that's what that was. I just didn't think back to it until I reread it. So there's that. I don't think it was completely out of the blue. But I do feel like, other than like their queer experiences, there is not an equal impact on their lives. Maybe it was. Maybe as far as the impact. But okay, so the secrets that Ace has actually revealed. Do you feel like it was equal between Devon and Chiamaka? Who do you think had it worse?
Devon. Right? I think Devon did for sure.
I feel like...
You think it was Chiamaka?
Okay, so I will put it this way. Devon had more of a threat to like his physical safety because they like leaked it to Andre or Dre, and they didn't know how that was going to impact him. But I will say all the secret that was leaked for him was true. Whereas I feel like they had to dig deep to ruin Chiamaka because she was a fucking, I don't know, she didn't have as many secrets that could be revealed, or she at least didn't let her secrets out. Like they faked the whole murder thing. They had to fake planting candy on her. Like I feel like, what secret did they actually reveal about her?
Yeah, other than her like getting naked in her room.
Like they had to peek on her and take pictures of her. Like I feel like she could take more of a victim role. Like it was shady for sure, all the stuff that they leaked about Devon. And I'm not saying that he's not a victim. Like someone leaking a sex tape of you, awful. But he actually did those things. And I like felt too like when she kept saying, yeah, they're lies. And he was like, okay, I think we both know they're not lies. Like, you don't know that. You only have a sample size of 2. Which again, I think it was so confusing that they didn't immediately shout racism from the mountaintops. But
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting because for me, when I say who has it worse, I feel like the repercussions of these things getting out was worse for Devon. And like when it comes down to being a passenger in a car for a hit and run, that's bad, but it was fake. So you can't get arrested for anything like that. Like,
but she didn't know it was fake.
Real. That's true.
That was the thing for me. Like the whole time she was like, this isn't real. This isn't real. But what if they know this?
Yeah.
And that kind of kept her in check. And I think they knew they had to do that for her because, again, she didn't have any secrets that was going to ruin her life. She was like dedicated to what she was going to do and how she was going to get there. Yeah, I think it's real messed up.
And then too, like I feel like she had a little bit of an out too. Like even if she couldn't go to her dreams college, she's still a wealthy kid with doctor parents. They can still send you somewhere else. I feel like with Devon, he was set on going to Juilliard because not so many musical schools, and because he needs a scholarship. You can't get a scholarship if they're saying you haven't gone to class all year. He would have been fucked. So I just feel like for Devon, it was just like the repercussions were like a lot deeper, would hit a lot harder, and his life would be over. Sure. Yeah. Chiamaka could probably come on up. Speaking of Chiamaka, I forgot to mention this at the beginning, but her dad, when they used to go to Italy with them all the time, and then his family would talk shit about them being black, and then he just stopped bringing them and still visited them.
He would just sit there. Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, what the hell is that about? We never came back to it either. Everything was just like peachy when he came home. I'm just like, what is that?
Not only that, like, you would think if you were coward enough to go visit your racist family still who did not invite your wife and child that you would at least keep it hush. No, you kept her up all night talking about how great it was. What is wrong with you? And they made him seem like he was just this great dad. Go to hell. Like,
and for the
straight
mom
to hell.
okay
Do not pass go. Do not collect $200.
Could you imagine?
No.
That's crazy.
And how like the mom too, like how do you like talk to your daughter and say you should be proud of your hair, you should do this, like what, like I don't understand the issue, knowing that you have this whole racist side of her family and no one's ever taken up for her,
including her father, your husband, or you, girl.
Like, how do you sweep that under the rug? I don't get it.
Yeah. And
then you put her in this all white school, so the only black influence she has is you. You're the only one. A whole side of her family is hating on her and being rude to her because she's black and doesn't even want her to come around. And you think that she's supposed to just be good?
Yep.
It was a lot. It was a lot. And then have the nerve to say you should be like proud to have like your food served to your friends. From what? What experience in my life has told me that I should be proud of this?
That was so backwards to me. I feel like if the mom was also like a little bit like she hates her culture, she hates her hair, like she like straightened her hair all the time or whatever, that would make more sense than the mom being super proud to be black or Nigerian. You know what I mean? Like,
because why isn't she speaking up to her husband? Yeah, I agree. What's happening here? Doesn't make a lot of sense.
I say she was trying to assimilate or anything like that. That was also a discussion to have from the book. It was just odd to me. And like Chiamaka wasn't fighting back about if the mom also hated the culture, hated the hair, but Chiamaka was like, no, I'm wearing my natural hair. I want to do this and fight back against the parents a little bit more. That could have also been a dynamic, but that wasn't the case. I just feel like
they were all delusional though. So it made sense to me in the fact that the way that she was defending her hair, like not to say I don't like it, I do. It's just like I felt like that was representative of someone who was told that they should be proud of their hair. But the people who told her that, it was like, trust what I say and not what I do. Like they didn't her mom didn't really stand up for herself with the whole fight against like her dad and his side of the family. But she spoke a good game. And that's what it seemed like Chiamaka was mimicking. Like she wasn't really proud of her hair. She wasn't really proud of her culture and the food. But she was going to say, oh, I am. It's just that. So that made sense to me. It made sense, like, the way that she responded to her black side. It didn't make sense, the dynamic between the mom and the dad.
I don't think that Chiamaka would have played that game from the other book.
Slay?
She wouldn't have played that game, I don't think.
No, it doesn't seem like she would have played any game. She was like, way too much. Yeah. What do I need to do next to get into college? No free time.
So why do you think that they made Devon a prefect just to say that he was dismissed from being a prefect? So even if everything else was failed, like you could tell the colleges that he was demoted maybe? Because he was like, this is a popularity contest and I ain't popular. What is this?
It could just be because, like I said, not everyone went to the camp. So maybe it was to get his name out there. So people actually cared when they spread rumors about him. It could be that they wanted to dismiss him from being a prefect. Get his guard down. I don't know.
Interesting.
That'd be an interesting question to ask the author. But yeah, I have no idea. All right. So another question for you. We talked about Chiamaka and her home life dynamic. What did you feel about Devon's like relationship with his mom and not being afraid to tell her that he was gay?
I feel like that's pretty normal for a kid growing up in the hood. His mom's working. The last thing you want to do is stress her out, especially when she's working to put you through this expensive high school to go to college. Yeah, they were not doing well. Like he said, he was sharing a bed with his two younger brothers and everything. She was always stressed out, and he was dealing drugs pretty much to pick up the slack when she seriously needed it too, because he had no issue with handing her over the money, all the money he made, even with no backup yet. But he said he's done it a few times now. I think the only thing that kind of made me feel better at the end was that the mom was like, I don't care. I just want to make sure you're okay. You know what I mean?
I feel like there were a couple of things there, though, because it didn't make sense to me that he said, and it goes back to when we were talking about Slay and how, like, you can say stuff as a parent and not realize that it makes your kid trust you less. Like, I did like his mom, but the fact that somebody else in the neighborhood came out and she said, what a shame. Like,
Oh
what the hell is
yeah,
that?
she did. Yeah.
And it
Forgot
came
about
out that she knew since he was like 12
So
that
she
he
was
was
saying that in
gay.
front of him, and yeah.
Exactly. And she still said it in front of him. And I feel like it's this whole like brainwashing. Never mind. Not get into that. But I feel like it's because she was religious.
Mhm.
And like,
And like,
they
if
like,
he knew that she felt that way, he wouldn't come out.
what?
If he knew that she felt that way, maybe he wouldn't come out. Or like,
No, I don't think it was intentional on her end. I just feel like it came out without her realizing she said it. And in her head, after, she was probably like, oh, I probably shouldn't have said that. Or maybe she didn't give it a second thought. But either way, Devon thought that she loved her church more than she loved him. And I find like that's an issue. Like, I feel like if and you're just waiting for him to come to you, as a parent, I would at least drop some hints that it was okay with you. Don't make it harder for him by talking about the church and what's right and what's not and saying things like it's such a shame. Like, you at least try to make him feel a little bit more comfortable to come out to you. It's what I was thinking.
But that's us thinking though. Like, we're not particularly religious or anything either. So
Sure, but I'm just talking about like her. She like made this whole speech at the end. Like, I don't care. Like, you can do whatever you want. I was just waiting for you to come to me. Then why didn't you make him feel more like comfortable coming
accept
to you?
it.
Yeah,
Exactly. Like you said, we had this discussion before, and parents, you have to be very careful about what you say and what you do, because kids are always watching, no matter what you're doing. And it sucks. It really sucks for the kids. And I felt horrible for Devon because it happens more often than not too. So a lot of people go, at least you're out now and I accept you. I'm not gonna kick you out, but you still, even when you do come out and you're not like hostile to them as a parent, like they'll still be on guard, I feel like, too, because of the past things you have said and done. And if you still go to a homophobic church.
and I know like it's a lot more complicated than like I can really comprehend because we're not particularly religious. Like, it's just a lot going on there. But I just feel if you had known and you were like so ready to be supportive, then you should have let him know that it was okay in some way. It's very easy to find an excuse, like to say, oh, I'm okay with this. You can just flat out say it, like, oh, I know you haven't said anything, or I know this may not apply to you, but just so you know, any of your sons, you could have had a whole conversation with all of them. It's okay with me to be who you are. Like, and you have maybe a little more nuance than that, but still.
I think that's the thing, though. Like, you have to mean what you say. And I think it was already sealed, signed, and delivered when she said that about the kids in the neighborhood, too. You know what I mean? She could easily have been like, oh, that's normal, right, boys? We still like him. He's still a good friend to us. So anything like that, we still know him as Daryl or whatever. It's normal.
Instead of saying, that's such a shame.
And that's probably her, too. Like, if she was talking to someone about it, it's also her putting on airs as well. So you never know.
Yeah, whatever. Anyway. I will also say, like, the whole thing with his dad was just so random for me. Like, the last day he saw him was when he was executed. Never really got into why he was executed. But they did say in the epilogue that he didn't talk to his mom for a while after that. That one is more tough. I don't know as a parent if I would tell my 12-year-old that their dad was being executed. I may have, though, because he's 12. It's not like he's 8.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like that is a betrayal. I don't know if it's so much of a betrayal that I wouldn't talk to her for a while after. But that was rough for him to figure out when he did as well. Like, he was dealing with a lot.
Yeah, he was. I feel like maybe I wouldn't tell him at 12. Like, I would still bring him to go see him and everything. But at least, like, maybe 14, 15, I'd be like, hey, we haven't seen your dad in a while,
Tell him
right?
at one point, yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't wait for him to just figure it out, because he will. That was really sad to me, for sure. Yeah.
The way he found out was awful. I'd be real mad about that, for sure.
Especially for it to be the day that you saw him.
Yeah.
So, that was really sad. There's so many things he was going through. I just feel bad for Devon the whole time. The whole time.
Like I said, like he was definitely going through it for sure. To your point, I feel like the impact of all this affected him a lot more because he had so much going on behind, like even beyond the whole Aces thing. So yeah, they definitely had a lot of material with Devon, and for Chiamaka, they had to lie and manipulate. But yeah,
And that's the thing. It's just like, even though he did the things that Aces put out there, I don't think there was anything to be ashamed. Like, maybe he shouldn't be making a sex tape as a teenager, but I'm very sex positive. I will be very sex positive with my kids, but you also got to be smart as a kid too. So it's just like, I'd be mad at him.
Yeah, I'm not mad at him for making it. I'm mad at him because you knew you can't trust this guy. He's cheating on you every other week. Why would you make a sex tape with his phone at that and let him keep it?
That's true.
Like, that just wasn't a smart move. Like I said, not mad at him for making it, not mad at him for his sexuality. Like, I feel like a lot of the things they exposed were just things that he had secrets about. And to his point, it was true. All the stuff that they manipulated Chiamaka with, unless I'm forgetting something, either was not true or she didn't know it was happening to her, like them taking pictures of her while she's changing through her window. Not saying she couldn't have closed those blinds, because that was definitely her Italian side that made her change with the blinds open. Just saying. But it was like, it's different. It's still different than him knowingly letting this guy make this video and letting him keep it on his phone, knowing that you can't trust him.
Yeah. And that's just the teenager side too. Teenagers are still very young and dumb. So the older that I get, the more I realize that teenagers are still kids with adult almost bodies. You know what I mean? It's just,
oh yeah, for sure.
It's just one of those things. I try to give teens a lot of grace because a lot of stupid shit happens as a kid.
I think that's so interesting that you say that, because you did not have that same energy during Slay. That's all I'm gonna say.
What do you mean?
There was multiple times where I'm like, because she's a kid. Nope. No. Or even during Skin of the Sea with the child, the literal 8-year-old theory. You were like, he was my least favorite character. No, too many dumb decisions.
Let me say something about Issa. Let me tell you something about him.
Nope. I don't want to hear it.
Exhausted is the word. Exhausted with Issa.
And then here you are, like a whole new person. Oh, I just want to give the teenagers all the grace because they're still kids, really. At heart. They may not look like it, but oh my gosh, the children are the future. All right, anyway.
How dare you?
I had to give you a hard time, but one more question and then we'll wrap up unless you have anything else. But my question for you is, how do you think you would have handled it if you were targeted by Aces?
I would have went to my mama. To y'all, I'm like, y'all, look what they're putting out about me.
I would have went to my sisters. I would have went to my sisters. I don't think I would have went to mom if I were Devon in that case. Like with the sex tape and the kissing people when I'm not even out, that's a lot, dealing with like sexual things like that. But as far as Chiamaka, absolutely I would have went to my parents. Somebody framed you,
follow you to
for
your
stealing
house.
Stuff. And then you figured out that they framed you because they like blasted it before it even happened. Absolutely go to your parents. But then again, I could see her part of it too. Like, she can't go to the police because she thought she murdered someone.
Even with that though, like,
you wouldn't have been in that situation. I know.
Not only would I not be in that situation, but I'm just like, listen, you're the one drunk, you're the one driving, like, you ain't taking me down with you, bro. Like, it's not happening.
And it's the fact that she knew that too. Like, she knew that it would not be the same for him as it was for her. What are you doing? What are you doing? Yeah, so I wouldn't have been in that situation as far as Chiamaka, but since you
to murder.
Yeah. Just okay, randomly too. That night was apparently the same night that she supposedly they alluded to her being like sexually assaulted. I think it's so weird that they never put together in the book that they said Jamie's mom was always taking something to go to sleep because his dad was awful to be around. And then she had that whole weird deja vu in class when they were talking about mixing alcohol and sleeping pills. Like, obviously he took some of his mom's medicine, right? Yeah, maybe it was just like didn't need to be said, but I thought that was weird that they didn't come back to that Yeah. Anyway.
There's a lot of little things. That's probably because it was written over, what you said, 4 years too. It's just, oh, let me put that little seed out there and then forgot to make it grow. But no, yeah, I would immediately. And then, like, with the whole thing, knowing what we know now, to go bypass the cops and go to the FBI about child pornography, suing you for putting a sex tape out there about me to make me some money to go to school. All these different things. I'm getting out of this school because all you guys know these things and also treating me like shit. Yeah. I'm transferring. Thanks. I don't care if it's here. Yeah.
I completely agree. I think the moral of that story is to have a support system, though, because when I'm thinking about, like, Devon, like, it was all, like, sexual in nature, and he was not out to his mom. Like, that already means you don't have a support system, really, because you have secrets that they don't know. And then with Chiamaka, I think, in particular with the whole theft thing, she didn't want to tell her dad because he was wishy-washy with defending her to his family. She called that out. If he's not going to defend me to his family when I didn't do anything, what if this gets out? Like, he's really not going to defend me. And I feel like that is so sad. But yeah, having a support system for yourself, and if you're a parent, for your kids, like, they need to trust you. They need to know that you have their back. So
no matter what.
I don't think you and me would have been, like, too pressed if Aces were after us because we have a support system. But
right. Yeah.
These two,
which is also a privilege in itself too. Saying that we got a support system. Like, I was born into a support system, so with all my siblings. Yeah. Overall, what did you think? I know you gave it a 3. Are you going to change it at all?
I know we said we were going to wrap up, but I forgot this question, which is why I am wishy-washy on the rating. Mm-hmm. The end. It was so random. And you brought it up a little bit, like, what started the fire? I don't understand. Like, the random 3 students that died, don't understand. Like, why they didn't actually go to a real reporter after and share this story, don't get it. Like, how they said 10 years later, 15 years later, I don't remember, but how the headmaster was able to live out of jail that long to get cancer and be her patient, don't get it. Like, he held a gun to you.
Yeah.
There were, like, what happened after that fire? You just said, whew, we got out of that one, and no one, like, pressed charges? No one investigated? Yeah. You still had evidence.
That's true, but at the same time, it could have still been like the cops were in on it. We let him go. You never know. I just put it as, oh, he's a white man, so he's cool. Even if he did,
we should know at this point,
time,
you don't report hate crimes to the police. You report them to the FBI.
And that's why I said I would be calling the FBI.
Let's do a full investigation.
Put them on speed dial, bitch. I need 3 numbers for that number. I'm not calling y'all for anything.
So yeah, that's what I'm saying is, like, that is what, like, makes me waver a little, because I feel like a lot of stuff at the end was rushed through. Like,
yeah.
Why Jamie, Cece, and I think it was Daniel? Like, why those random students? What were you?
We've never talked about Tyrell either. How he was a little bit part of it.
Okay, you talk about it. I really have nothing to say about Tyrell, really, but how do you feel about it?
Tyrell is the person that I was hoping Jack would be. Like, Jack grew up with Devon. They were best friends, and he did everything he could to help him out of the mess, even though he was a little bit part of it too. Like, he didn't sign up for it necessarily, but if Jack was Tyrell and they just got rid of Tyrell's character but kept bullshit, he was just Jack's cat. I think I would like it just a teeny bit more. I think that probably would have pushed it a little bit more too.
Me too. You know what I mean? I feel like that character development would have made me, like he said, he helped, but then he backed out. That would have been nice.
And then too,
that would have been nice.
When we said that Jack, we thought he was like a little homophobic, or just listen, stop being the gossip girl. We're both like poor kids here. We worked our asses to get here. Stop being a troublemaker. That's what I thought that was, like, Jack's issue too. So
the thin veneer saying he had to look out for his brothers. Get out of here. Like, He has brothers too. Like they both had 2 younger brothers. Now that I think about it,
and like you're basically an adopted brother if my mom is paying for your applications.
Hello, very flimsy excuse is all I can say.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like Tyrell could have been X'd out completely and put.
It's like I just didn't feel either way about him, and I will say it's weird that she put in that they both had some kind of memory issues. I thought it would be related, and to figure out that it wasn't was weird for me. Yeah, I just feel like Tyrell didn't really add too much to the story either way. Like, I feel like Chiamaka was very clever. She could have figured out the things that he did. And
for him
yeah,
to have
I
been
feel like
the person that saved him off a beach, and that's what he remembered him from. I thought he remembered him from elementary school or whatever, that issue us with the fight. I didn't think, this
Jack saved him from the beach.
No, Tyrell did.
I thought that... No, so...
Jack saved him from the fight. I think it's 2
different instances. I think it was 2 different instances because Tyrell, they said that they found him kissing and beat them both up, and Jack brought him home. That all is true, but Devon also said that Jack followed him to the beach when he tried to kill himself, and he saved him on the beach.
Tyrell. I don't know. That's just like another thing. Like Jack and Tyrell, one and the same. Like,
it was 2 different instances, though. Yeah, I think. But I don't know. To your point, I feel like Tyrell didn't have to be a character. And to make it so that they were like still together and getting married 10 years, 15 years later was also like, okay.
Trauma bonding.
I don't think that was like...
Trauma.
Yeah, I don't think... Again, I feel like he's just going to stay with whoever is interested in him until he finds something better.
And the whole thing about Tyrell getting paid to take care of his sister because she's sick, that went nowhere. It's just like a lot of little plot devices that just went nowhere that could have been left out, I feel like.
I feel like it could have been like condensed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I said, it was very long-winded and it didn't have to be. I don't like looking for the
Again, I want to point out that I do feel like the plot was unique. I feel like she did a good job for it to be her debut book, and especially at 18, like all very impressive. And like any like first book, it just had some things that could have been tightened up.
Yeah, clean it up. She's a great author. I liked it.
Yeah, I feel like it had the potential to be a 5-star, but I'm going to downgrade it to 4, like a whole star, because of those little things. That's what I'm going to say. I'm still going to keep it at a 4-star.
I'm sticking.
Like, I'm not going to downgrade it a whole 1.5, but yeah.
I'm just keeping it at 3.5 because I don't think when someone asks me, hey, what's a mystery novel or something that you would recommend, I don't think Ace of Spades would necessarily come up first. And that's just...
And I will say this too. I didn't think it was going to be a book about racism. I thought it was going to be a very fun, lighthearted Gossip Girl book with Black people, which would have been amazing in my opinion. Yeah. Like, just keep it like scandalous and gossipy. I don't think they had to go like Skull and Bones, like Secret Society with it. Obviously, that could be another book. I'm not saying I'm like it was bad because of the plot twist. I'm just saying that's not what I was expecting. And at the time, I think I would have preferred something more lighthearted. But
I think so too. I feel like a lot of the books that we tried to read, it has this whole like, obviously there's Black people, there's a bigger message usually, but like I said before, like I don't like historical fiction because I like to do a little escapism. But when it comes down to the same issues that we do deal with, or some people deal with in different parts, it's just, I want to escape.
Well, I like fantasy. Not going to lie to you.
Yeah.
That's where it's at. But I will also say, I know you didn't care for the wedding date, but I think she did a great job of having Black people and still talking about it every once in a while. Like, it wasn't completely erased, but it was more so like just about the people. Like, it wasn't all about her race.
Yeah, I'd much rather read more about that girl's donut like fantasy.
Some people have donut fantasies. I'm that way with tacos. What can I say? Like, it didn't.
I should have started calling her a Homer.
Why not? There are Black girl Homers. We could be anyone, Joy. Anyone and anything. All right. So with that, I'm going to keep it at a 4. You're saying you're keeping it at 3.5 stars. Okay. That's fair. All right. With that, I think we should go ahead and announce our next book, which is Crescendo, Welcome Home, Death Awaits. And I'm just going to point out that I am not, thriller. I'm not a fan of horror books. I don't watch scary movies.
It's my favorite.
It's not that I don't like Halloween. I love October. I like to sit down to Halloween Town and Hocus Pocus over and leave it at that. I don't need anyone possessing or like demons on my TV screen. Don't need it. I could do without it. But this is what we decided to do. So again, the book is Crescendo, Welcome Home, Death Awaits. And I'm going to read the quick synopsis here. A man haunted by a family curse is taken beyond the limits of his sanity to a realm where he has no control over his actions or his fear. James Adams lived a normal life in a New York suburb before the demons dwelling within him awoke from their slumber to reveal unspeakable horror and prophesize his future, his destiny. Crescendo is a novel about fate and the lengths we will travel to avoid the inevitable. Set in tranquil Rockland County, New York, this tale of suspense and horror will take its reader on an emotional roller coaster of anger, anxiety, compassion, and indelible fear.
Ooh, so spooky. I tried to do some ambiance for you, but
we'll put it in post. It's fine. So you like horror books, though? Like, you like horror and scary movies?
I love being terrified. Every time my husband leaves the house, I like to watch something scary and just be scared all night. It's a good time. It's like, I'm a scaredy cat, but I love being scared. It's odd, right? It's odd.
Yeah.
Don't yuck my yum, Dan.
Oh, I will. No, I'm just kidding. All right. What am I forgetting? Make sure you give us a review to win a copy of Ace of Spades. Tune in next week for a Crescendo. Joy. Oh, and I don't think we've mentioned this before, but we want to hear your feedback on these books, or what your thoughts were, what you want to hear next, anything we haven't thought of. Let us know. We have our email at blackgirlreadspodcast@gmail.com. And then Joy. What?
That was my line. I do the socials.
You never mentioned the email, so I had to throw it out there. You want to mention our socials now? Maybe you can put that in your little sign off.
This is Black Girl Reads at TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter. The Black is spelled BLK, the same for Gmail, BLK, because that's how the cool kids say it. And we'll
it's Black Girl Reads Podcast. It's Black Girl Reads Podcast, though. One more time from the top.
You can find us at Black Girl Reads Podcast. The Black is spelled BLK because that's how the cool kids spell it. We'll see you guys next time for our spooky book. See you later.
Bye.